Can you guys hear me now? Oh, there we go. I think maybe my computer crashing ruined the mic there. Can you guys hear me okay now? I actually see the mic volume, which is why it wasn't working before. It like disconnected it in the back end. It still showed my headphones. There we go. Okay. Let me do my intro again for you guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah, my computer crashed, so yay, it's working. Okay, we're running a little bit behind now, but that's okay. So if you're new here, it is week 16 of the mini paint challenge. We've got a really awesome reference photo. It's a collab with another artist. Her name is Julissa. She goes by Pax Paints on all of her socials. And yeah, if you want to join in, that would be awesome. I love to see all of your different creations. You just tag me on social media at Megan Josol Art and use the hashtag mini paint challenge. Now, I have a little collab scene. So this is Julissa, and she's on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Those are the accounts that I follow her on anyway. And I will show you the reference photo. So this is the reference photo she provided for us today. So we actually haven't done a landscape for the mini paint challenge yet. So it's going to be really fun to be able to do something like bright and colorful. I love doing sunsets. So this is going to be a really fun one. This is hers that she did. Oh, she just makes like the most beautiful like sunset photos. And she actually, so I've kind of talked a little bit about on my account how my account started. So my account started because I got a concussion a few years ago, and she actually has been dealing with a traumatic brain injury as well and a concussion, and it actually has like changed her vision. And so she kind of paints what she sees now. And she said like the colors for her now are like more saturated and bright. And so she kind of depicts that in all of her art. She has a really cool art account. You guys should definitely go follow her. And I kind of edited the photo a little bit to make it like a little more bright and saturated too. I went more on the purple end. She kind of has more of the pinky orange end. I love hers. It's so pretty. But this is what we're going to be using today as our reference photo. So let's get straight into paint mixing now, because we are going to be a little bit behind today, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So we are going to select what colors we're going to use now. I think we'll start out with selecting colors for like the sunset area up here. I'm not sure which ones we should use yet. I'm thinking, okay, I've got the reference photo here. I'm thinking we should maybe go with, I feel like manganese violet would be really pretty. I'm almost thinking, definitely some like ultramarine blue in there. Get some cerulean blue kind of near like the waves area. What else should we use today? I'm thinking definitely we'll want the alizarin crimson as well for the darker purples in the water area is what I was thinking. And then we will definitely need some cadmium yellow. I'm trying to use up this tube of paint, so perfect. And we will grab, I'm kind of thinking, so I haven't actually played with the quinacridone red yet. Maybe we can we'll put it on our palette. We'll also do quinacridone magenta as well. I'm thinking some warm white would be nice in there for the kind of like darker desaturated areas. And we for sure will need some titanium white. Try not to go too crazy on the colors we're using today. What else should we do? Just looking at what we got here. So kind of in the wavy area, I really like that like bluish kind of, not quite, it's almost a little bit turquoise in there too. Like we could have some sort of like phthalo turquoise in there. We also could just add a little bit of cadmium yellow to it to make it a little bit, it's kind of fun to use phthalo turquoise though. We'll make it very colorful. Okay, let's start laying these out. I like to kind of put them out on my palette like this beforehand because I like to have them in rainbow order just so I know where things are on my palette while I am painting. So we will put some titanium white down, slowly work our way across. Got some warm white. And this kind of just has like almost like a yellowy kind of orangish tone to it, the warm white. It's a really nice one to use. Okay, I'll do quinacridone magenta. I was thinking if we want to use quinacridone violet, we'll see how we do with the colors we have already. Sometimes using a limited palette is best, not adding too much colors, especially when you're doing like sunset stuff, blending colors together a lot in a sunset. It's been a little while since I've done a sunset. This will be so fun. I was trying my best not to paint it yesterday. I wanted to paint it so bad yesterday. Okay, and alizarin crimson we're gonna do next. Both of the quinacridones. And got cadmium yellow light. Yeah, so it's titanium white, warm white, quinacridone magenta, quinacridone red, alizarin crimson, and then we've got cadmium yellow light. And then we're going to use some phthalo turquoise today. Maybe. I'm going to put it on the palette because I think I want to use it kind of in the wave area. I just feel like it would be really nice in those front waves to have more of that bluish green. Kind of like there's like seaweed there or something. And then I'm going to do a cerulean blue hue. I'll also do ultramarine blue. I was debating on if I wanted to use phthalo blue or ultramarine blue. They're both really nice. Phthalo blue is pretty nice for like blue skies, but I like ultramarine blue for like the really dark areas because I feel like phthalo blue is more of like, I would say like I don't know, these are both transparent colors, but ultramarine blue feels a little less transparent. And I find it makes like really nice deep purples, which I think will be really nice in the water. And then manganese violet. That's the thing, when you've like used paint for a long time, you just get like used to how it goes onto the paper. You just get used to using specific colors and how they react with each other in the paper. Okay, so I will grab, don't actually, I wanted to grab a wipe. Just gonna grab one of my old wipes. Thanks, hon. You put that in the description for everyone. Okay, and then we can kind of wipe our palette knife off. I'm just wondering if we need a bit of light here. I was trying not to add a ton of light because it makes it a little glary, but make it a little brighter, you guys. It's just really dark outside today. Okay, so I think first we're gonna start with mixing these sky colors here. Maybe we'll start with these nice deep purple colors in the sky. And like I said, I think I want to use the manganese violet. I mean, it looks pretty nice. I feel like that'll be a nice color. I think if we blend it a little bit with ultramarine blue, it will be kind of what we want. I think a combination of those two will be really nice. That looks pretty nice for some of those darker areas. I do want to lighten it up, I think, a little bit. I'm just going to put this color to the side here, and we'll take little bits from it, and we'll slowly lighten it up and see how it does. Just to see if it's like going to act as like the color that we need in those darker areas. So I'm going to use a little bit of warm white, just so it's like desaturated a little bit. Just want to see how close this blue is, bluish purple. This actually is kind of like closer, I feel like, to these blues down here. And I think we'll maybe stick these with the blues down there. So I will just put that to the side for now and wipe this off, because I think those blues will be really nice for the bottom area there. But this is why we mix, just to see how they react. Now, I think I'm going to actually do a little bit of alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue and see what kind of like nice purpley color we get with that. Kind of go from there. I haven't decided if I want to use this maybe in the water area or if I want to use it in the clouds. Kind of mix it in. We're not trying to match it exactly. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side and add a bit of warm white to that, just to see how it reacts when you add a bit of white to it. I think this one will be closer to the purple that we want. Okay, and then I'm going to compare that. It's definitely more of the purple like in the water, I would say. It's not quite what I want for the clouds, actually. That's okay. Can use that in the water section. And then what I'm thinking is the other purple that I wanted to mix up was quinacridone magenta and a little bit of the ultramarine blue. Such a variety of color in this one. It's kind of fun to play with like all these purples and blues. And I think they'll blend really nice together on the paper. Okay, let's see how that reacts with the white. That's definitely a really nice color, I think, for the clouds. Let me just hold it up to the clouds and we'll see. Yeah, that's closer to what we wanted for like the cloud area. So I think Quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue are a really good mix for that cloud color. And this is, I guess, I'll save that on the side a little bit. So I'm gonna actually put a bit of this on my palette and keep some on my brush a little bit, or my palette knife a little. Okay, I'm gonna actually make this a little bit darker by adding a little bit more of these two colors in. We're going to make some transition colors in the cloud area. Let's see. Okay, that's definitely a really nice transition color. And then we're going to slowly transition this to more quinacridone magenta. So we're just going to add that in with the color that we've mixed there. Add a bit of the warm white, just so it's not like too saturated. The warm white will tone it down a little bit. Let's see how close that is. Okay, I actually want to go a little bit lighter with that. I'll put a bit more warm white in that. Oh, the cats are causing trouble over there. I hear them knocking stuff off the counter. I don't know if you guys can hear them. But... Okay, that's the color we want. That'll be a nice transition color. We also want to slowly transition this color into a little bit orangey. So we're going to add a bit more quinacridone magenta. And now the warm white will make it a little orangey because there's like yellow in that. So let's see. I think we're going to also have to add some yellow in there. Let's see how close that got us to where we want though. That was Kit Kat. Yeah, that was definitely Kit Kat. I don't know if you guys can see them behind me yet. She was on the counter over there. Mona is napping on me. Yeah, she's causing less trouble today, which is good. Okay, that pink is actually really nice. It's like a pinky purple. We're going to make this more orange now. So I'm going to add some warm white to it. And I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium yellow to it as well. I said a little and then I like added a lot. Let's see if I added too much there. It's okay. I can always like put it to the side if I went a little too crazy. That's actually kind of what I wanted. Maybe I didn't add too much. Okay, let's see. How perfect is that? That is exactly what we wanted. Okay, and that's kind of like so I'm mixing the middle color right here near the sun. And that'll be really nice. Look at that transition. Like that's going to be so gorgeous. I am so excited for that. And now we're also going to keep a little bit of it on our knife. I'm going to take a little bit of that back. And I'm going to make this a little bit lighter with some warm white. A little bit lighter. Because there's kind of that lighter orangey yellow up into the top bit. Let me see. I might have went a little light there. I think we actually need to add a little bit of quinacridone magenta in there again. Just a little bit, just to add that purpliness back into the sky. We don't want to go too white with that. That's why I'm using the warm white though, so it won't be too white. I think that's actually pretty good. I think that's a nice transition color for that top section of the sky. Now we gotta do like the orangish white sun that's there. I'm gonna clean this off briefly so we don't get a ton of, there we go. Now we're gonna do the sun color, which is yellow and some warm white. And that's gonna be obviously too bright. I feel like we need just pretty much warm white and just like the little bit of yellow. Definitely added way too much yellow to that. I'm a little crazy with the yellow there. That's okay, we can use that yellow for something else. Maybe. Okay, let's see how close that is. Actually, the sun, like around the edges, it's got a bit of warm white. So we'll keep that. But I would say, honestly, around the edges, it's more of like a, or like right in the middle of the sun, it's more of like a bluish white. So we're gonna do a mix of titanium white. Like if I put titanium white up, it's not quite there, but I think if I add a bit of cerulean blue to it, that was too much. Cerulean is so pigmented. I always warn, it's so pigmented. I think I added too much, but we'll see. It's actually pretty close. I add a little bit more titanium to that and that would be good. Yeah, you don't need much of the cerulean blue hue. But it's more on the blue side, that sun. Yeah, that's closer. Okay. And I just really love this sunset, so I'm trying to get the colors actually like pretty close to what it has in there. I'm trying to go with those realistic colors. Okay, so now we've got kind of the sunset and the cloud area, so that's our whole color palette for that. And we're kind of breaking it up into sections. So we did the sunset area up here, and then we're going to break it up and do this area here now, do the water area. And I said that I'm going to put this yellow kind of over here for now. I'm going to clean off our space. I think I said I liked this one for the water. And I think this will be kind of those dark areas. Yeah, I think that'll be, I don't know, honestly, I think I need to add a little bit of more ultramarine blue to that. Get more blue in there. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So that'll be kind of our dark color. I'm going to keep a bit on the palette. Gonna take it on the edge of my thing. I just like to make like little things there. And they're just like lined up nicely, and then you know which colors are for what. Just really helps with like organizing them beforehand. It's nice with oil paints, you can like mix your colors beforehand too. I know, like I used to do acrylic painting, and it's one of the reasons I'm really happy that I switched to oil painting, because you can work with the colors a lot longer, and I could just put this in the freezer and use it tomorrow. So if I was working on like a bigger painting, then I can just work on it for like the whole week and my paint will be mixed for me already. Okay, we're gonna lighten this slowly. We have this one that we kind of lightened. Just to like add that in. Add a bit of that warm white. Hopefully I didn't go too crazy there. That's pretty good actually. A bit of warm white in that. Let's see. Yeah, so that's like a nice kind of deep purple in there. There's actually some waves in there that are using like this blue color, so we'll be able to use some of the colors from like these waves in the front into this a bit. So we'll be able to mix some of the colors a bit too. So this purple I think is a really nice transition color for this next one here. I'm going to keep a bit on my palette knife again, and it looks like there's kind of some like pinky purples kind of along this section over here where my arrow is pointing. And we're going to add a little bit of quinacridone magenta to that. And it'll kind of give us that pinky purple that we're looking for, and it kind of will look similar to some of the sky colors. And we're trying to have some of those sky colors come in to that area anyway, because it's reflecting the sky. Let's see, I might have to add a bit of warm white to that just to bring that down in color. Let's see. And like I said, I like using the warm white because it has a really nice desaturated property to it. I think that's pretty good for like a lot of those lighter areas there, so we'll save that color. I'm thinking as we get kind of into the middle where it shows more of the sunset, we're going to keep adding that quinacridone magenta to it. And we even could use a little bit of these colors kind of in correspondence, but they do have a bit of that purpley blue to them. So I'm trying to mix up kind of separate ones for that. But let's see. Going to be very similar colors, I would say, to these ones here. So we could probably just like honestly use some of those because that's like pretty close. So I'll use some of the sky colors in the water. Like I'll probably not mix these type ones again, and the yellow that we've got for the sun right in the center. I think these colors will be good for it. And then I think that gives us most of the watercolors we need. Now we got to go to this like kind of bright cerulean blue area in the front. And I really liked this color that I mixed up at the start there. So we're going to grab that color we already mixed up there. And I think we'll probably just use that for the darker areas. Those are kind of like the dark areas down at the bottom. I actually want to mix, so I like this one too. I will keep this color. Let me put that at the side, and then we'll go back into the phthalo turquoise because I really would like to add some phthalo turquoise in there. Yeah, so I think that'll be good for some of the dark areas. Now we're going to look at phthalo turquoise. Bring some of that in. Such a pretty color. Can add some warm white to it. Not too much. Don't want it that bright. Just kind of taking just little bits until I get the color that I want. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of, that's going to be way too bright. I'm going to tone that down with a little bit of ultramarine blue. And that should make it a little deeper, but still give us that greenish tint that we want in that wave area. Let me see. That's closer to what we want. So that's the greenish color. And then add a bit of that white from the side. Now I am making these colors a little bit more saturated than the photo because I think it would just be fun to have it a little bit more colorful than the actual photo. It's fun to play with that. There's almost kind of like some of the sunset colors like bouncing off like some of the waves too, so we'll be able to use a bit of these like pinks and stuff on the tops of the waves. And I would say even like this kind of pinkish orangey color will be used, and some of the like purples and stuff. It's not quite like white like you would assume. It's like kind of like a bluish white, but there's definitely a lot of different tones in those waves there. And I think I will use this color that I have my palette. It's just like a little transition color there. And then I'm thinking in those front waves I want to go with more of like a purpley color. I feel like we can even use some of these colors that I mixed over there already. I'm just seeing if we need to even make more colors. No sense in mixing more colors if we can use some of the ones we already mixed for the other sections. And then the biggest part is down here. I haven't decided what color we should do this area. It's kind of got that pinkish tone. It's like the sandy area. I think we'll do some purples and some like pinks in there. Honestly, might just use some of the colors we have and make it like pretty dark in that section. Because I don't want to make it look exactly like sand. We don't want to draw a ton of attention to that area, so I don't want to make it super different, that color. So yeah, we'll probably just use colors that we already have like mixed up here. If we decide to add something different later on, we can, but I think that'll be pretty good for now. Just gonna find like a section that's like slightly clean that we can use. Trying to use up some of these old rags. Okay, we will get to painting now. So I will change to my painting scene. There we go. I've already got a little sketch, so if you haven't done a sketch yet, just put a little sketch on that kind of looks similar to mine. It doesn't need to be anything perfect, because we're going to be adding all of the excitement with colors. Let me just adjust that a little bit. Looks like it tilted a bit. I'm going to move this camera so then you guys can see me from over here as well. And hopefully that works. Oh, hi, Kit Kat. She's like on the blanket there. You can see my partially messy kitchen now. There we go. That's my other task for the day, is getting the rest of the dishes done. Yeah, I don't normally use a color palette like this, so it's kind of fun to do something a little bit different. That's why I was like, I want to go on like the purple end with like some of those blues, because it just looks so nice. Purples and blues and pinks. Normally I'm like, I mean, I like using, yeah, but normally I'm doing like blues and greens and like yellows and stuff. So yeah, it's a very different color palette than I normally do, which is kind of nice. Okay, let me try to get my camera set up. Why? There we go. I hope I'm not shaking that too much for you guys. Okay, I will give us a little bit more light there. Just trying to make sure that's in focus. I feel like all my technology is causing issues today. I mean, I guess we started the stream that one time and there was no audio either, so I don't know. I feel like sometimes my computer just like doesn't connect properly. Okay. I'm so excited to paint this today. This will be so fun. Okay, first we have to use our little gummy eraser that we have. And I have to dab off a little bit of the graphite because I don't want that mixing with the paint. These are pretty dark colors, honestly, so it won't mix too much, but that's why I try not to add too much of it. Yeah, I was trying to do a test mic thing, but you were too busy to help me out with it, so I was like trying to do it on my own, see if the mic level goes up and down. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I thought maybe it just like wasn't working or something. But like it's all working now, which is good. I'm glad that the mic is working for you guys now. Okay, we are going, oh, it's like starting it already. Sometimes like my camera starts already. There we go. Alrighty then. There we go. We have all of the cameras going. We are going to kind of just dab that off because it's just a guide for us. Like we might not do the exact same clouds or like we're not trying to match it exactly. We're just kind of like playing and having fun with it and seeing what happens and hoping it looks good in the end. And if not, it was just a fun experience, right? I always think every time I paint that every time you paint is just like a learning experience. You get to enjoy yourself and just like learn new things. Because every time you paint, you're gonna like learn something new. Especially if you push yourself to like do new subject matter. It's really important to kind of like try new things and explore new mediums and new techniques and stuff. I've been doing like a lot of like little like painting classes locally, and it's so fun to learn from other artists because they have such a different way of doing things. And I know I don't do my like I'm self-taught over here, and so I never went to school for any of this, and so I've just kind of like made up my own ways that kind of work for me over the years. And it's cool to see like other people and how like they've kind of made up their own ways as well. So you can definitely learn a lot from other artists that are just like playing around and having fun. Okay, which ones do we want to use? I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, I haven't used this one yet. This is one of my new brushes that I got. Ooh, let's maybe use this. No, I don't know. I kind of normally use like these blending ones. Maybe I'll use my number 4 blending one because I feel like that'll be good for like the first stage, and then when we add a bit more detail, I'll use some of my newer brushes because they have sharper edges on them. So we're gonna start out with the darkest areas in this section here, all of the sky area. So we'll start with this darker purple that we mixed. And the dark will look very dark against this white background. That's why some people like to start with kind of like a coat of paint on the back. But I like painting directly on the paper because I just like the feel of it. Personal preference. So we're going to add some of those deep tones here. It will look really dark at first, but we will adjust as we go along. We're just almost adding like a first layer, and then we're going to go back in and adjust the layer. Of course, I got a little cat here. And we're gonna get the horizon line in there. Pretty much the horizon line has all of this dark color on it, so just kind of going in with that darker color on the horizon. Trying to make it as straight as possible. I was like using a ruler last night to try to draw in the horizon line so it's like even, because if your horizon line is like crooked, it will make your whole painting feel like very off. Landscapes are just kind of like that. I remember learning about that in like a photography class. I really love photography too. That's why I have like this other camera that I had bought. I like taking photos of like flowers. It's funny because like I like small paintings and I also like doing like macro photography. So any sort of like close-up photography. I like growing a lot of like vegetables in my garden in the summertime, so I'm always like taking photos of like close-ups of things in my garden. I feel like I need to do more paintings with some of like the garden photos that I've taken. Okay, some of these purples. Purple already looks so like dark and mysterious. Like that, it's kind of like a, almost gives kind of like a mountainy vibe too. We have a lot of mountains here in Western Canada. I'm on Vancouver Island and there's a lot of like mountains. Across the water from us is the Olympic Mountains in the US. So there's a lot of like mountainy views kind of like this actually where we are. No, this one's supposed to be clouds. Okay, we will put some of those darker clouds up there because I think I like those. I kind of like how it all kind of directs your eye into where the sunset is. That's why I decided to use the composition like this, because she gave me like a full photo to use, but I kind of cropped it like this because I feel like, so what I did was I split up the photo into kind of like the rule of thirds, where especially with this, so you would grid it, and this kind of falls on one of the lines here, and this horizon line I made it fall on the top third, and then down here the waves kind of fall on that other third there. So there's just a little bit of design principle in how I set up the reference image. I guess I don't normally explain that, but it's just something I always consider. I took a lot of design classes when I was in like high school. At the school I went to, we actually had these things called high skills majors, and I got like a technology and arts like high skills major. I took a lot of like art and technology courses. So a lot of them were like design courses and stuff. So I learned a lot about like photography and design, and even like used like After Effects and like some of the cool like editing Adobe products and stuff. I was very grateful that our high school even had something like that. Go. Get some of those clouds in there. I don't think I want to add too many of those other little clouds, but okay, that's a good first color. Oh, I'm gonna grab my linseed oil out too so I can clean my brushes. Just gonna put a linseed oil here so you can see when I'm like dipping in the linseed oil just to clean it a little bit. Which feet? Yeah, it's gonna look pretty off for a while Got some witchy clouds there. We'll get there. We're gonna go into the next color down, which is this nice purpley color. This will really give the clouds a little bit more shape to them. We're gonna do it on kind of like the edges of the clouds. And we'll go back in and add some more like highlights after we get kind of these base colors down. But it's a really good kind of like start here. Some of these purples in here. This one almost has a bit more like pinks around the edge, but I'm going to start with like a little bit of purple there. And then work our way around these other cloudy areas. Go. Okay, now we'll work into the next color there. Just going to clean it off with a bit of linseed oil. These are just old cut up towels that I use on the side. Now we'll go into this pinkish color. Such a pretty pink. It's gonna feel like we're making this really dark, but get the other colors around it and it'll look better. Trust the process kind of moment, right? Adding that pinkish color. Okay, we're gonna go to the other pinkish color that we made. It's a little bit lighter. Getting into those lighter colors now. This is kind of more here. I'm gonna actually start adding a little bit of, I'm gonna grab a bit of warm white because I feel like I want to add a bit more of that lighter color to it. So I'm taking this pink and just adding a bit of that warm white to it. Start adding that in a little bit here. Some of this pink too. That pinky orange color we made. Slowly add a little bit of that in as well as we get into the middle. And then when we add details, we'll have to get into some smaller brushes as well. This brush is almost too big to add some of these details. not. Fingerprint scanner's not working. Okay, we're gonna get into some of this pink color again, this darker one, kind of over in this section here. We slowly got to work our way into that orange center area. Okay, I'm gonna clean off my brush a bit and then grab some of the orangey color that we made. Now it's time to add the orange in. Add some of this yellowish kind of color in there, right near the orange. Trying not to blend it too much with the other colors. Specifically trying not to blend it too much with that purple color, or else it'll start to look muddy if I get too much of that. Okay, it's probably time that we use a smaller brush to like add some details. We're going to fluff that out a little bit. So I'm just gonna use my little mini mop brush. To grab, just gonna use this. I need an almost even minier mop brush. Seems like borderline too big for these areas here. Make do. Slowly coming together. Okay, now I'm gonna find a thinner brush. So I feel like we need a smaller brush Maybe like my flat brush here will kind of help because we also have this one too. I found really tiny eyeliner brushes are great for micro blending. Ooh, eyeliner brushes, that's a good idea. Yeah, I have like these like super tiny ones. They used to be like old round brushes, but like I completely destroyed the ends of them, so I tend to use these ones too. But I find like the mini mop brush, they're just so like soft and they make the blending like so soft. This does an okay job too. But yeah, you can pretty much use any brushes you can find. Just to get those like soft blended edges. Gotta make more of like the cloud shapes. We're not defining the clouds yet. We're gonna do that after we get all this like blending and make sure we have this base color down. It's really tempting to sometimes like put details in right away, but you wanna make sure you get that like nice base layer down before you do any blending or before you do any details. It's coming together now. This little brush is helping out a little bit more. Getting that on there. It's coming together. And the colors look a little bit better for you guys on screen today. It's a little less saturated than it is in person, but not bad, not bad. Been still playing around with my camera settings to see what I like. So I've got kind of this lighter purple color that I was going to use in the water, but I feel like it'll also be really nice in like these cloud areas. Just to kind of like, it's got like a nice brightness to it, and I think it'll blend nicely with the sky. Going in and just adding this lighter color around the edges of the clouds, you'll start to see a little bit more definition in the clouds as you add like the layers of colors. That's the thing with like clouds, you just want to keep adding kind of layers to them. I'm gonna also add some of that nice pink that we made into this area. I feel like I needed a bit more pink over here. Nice bright pink. This really tiny brush helps a lot. I haven't even added the sun in the middle there yet. Kind of saving that until it's like the bright white highlight that we'll do kind of at the end. Do we have all these other little colors added in? Okay, now I'm gonna dip this into that darker purple again. We're gonna bring out some of the dark parts. slowly adding it on a little bit thicker. I'm using like kind of lighter brush strokes as you go along. As you get into like the top layers, you want to use kind of a lighter touch while you're going along. Kind of going for that deep purpley, almost like mysterious kind of vibe with this one. There we go. Adding a bit more darker colors. There we go. The clouds are kind of like popping more with those dark colors now. Still gonna go around the edges too with some lighter colors as well, because I do want to bring out some of those kind of pinky light colors that are around the clouds. Go. Just step back and see. That's kind of what we're going for. It's the dark clouds that I wanted. I was really excited about adding kind of like darker clouds to kind of go with the dark vibe in the water. You could make your clouds lighter if you wanted to, but I was really excited for making my clouds dark. And then I'm gonna pick up some of this pinkish color. And I'm gonna grab some of this warm white, and I'm slowly going to blend this in to these areas. Hello.
I'm just
Getting some tea.
getting my cold brew going.
I'm just painting clouds. I guess it's good that I ate a decent amount of breakfast because the stream started late, so my lunch will be a little bit later today. Adding more details. One thing I am excited for this summer is going out and doing like more plein air painting too, so I will try to find some sunsets to paint because I feel like that'll be really nice. Okay, I'm gonna start on like the water section and then we can kind of come back to the clouds later on and like add a little bit more details, but at least we can.
The sky looks pretty good already.
Yeah, you like this sky? It's got a, I think, a pretty good vibe going on. I'm like making kind of like dark and mysterious. Okay, now we will start with this purple color. Just really want to use this brush too, and I think it'll be really good for making that skyline. This is a number 6 flat shader brush from the Princeton Velvet Touch series. We're gonna make the horizon line like decently dark down here. This one's like our dark purple that we mixed up, which will blend really nicely with the rest of the watercolor that we mixed up. Okay. Add some of those darker colors and then we'll go back in with those lighter purples. Add those deeper colors. We are not doing all the details in the water because we are doing this very, very tiny. And I also try to do these a little bit quicker because I don't want to make these tutorials like too long. The thing with mini paintings is you kind of have to decide what details you're going to keep and what details you are just going to be like, yeah, we don't need that. I really like the way the waves are though, how they kind of curve around in this area. So I'm going to try to keep some of that. And then like little dark parts in here as well. And we're going to go in with this purpley color. So I'm going to add that like pinkish color in there. So I'm just adding all of the different colors now. That's why I tried to keep the colors like really close on the spectrum so then they blend really nicely in this area. Grab kind of this pinkish color we mixed up. You can always go back in with some of those darker colors too and deepen them up again if you want. Just adding these pinks in. We definitely want more of the pinks as we get to that center section where the sunset is. But I'm still going for like a darker, mysterious vibe, so I don't want to make that too bright. We can always go back in with more colors, add more details at the end, like I said, in the water, but let's just get like the base layer over everything. I'm gonna go back into that darker color too and just add those deep sections back into the wavy area. Just so they don't get drowned out too much with the other colors. Okay. just going to clean off this brush a bit, and we will continue to work on that middle section. I think at some point we're going to have to grab like the smaller like blender brush to get those colors in. Honestly, we could probably use some of that smaller brush right now. Let me put this one down. I've got like our little tiny blender brush, and I think it'll just add the color on a little bit nicer. So we're going to go in with this bright pink. I'm going to slowly add this bright pink in. I'm going to go back in with some darker colors after, but I'm just adding the bright pink in first so we don't desaturate it too much. Such a pretty pink too. I really like this pink. I'm just adding some of those darker colors into this middle section too. I'm going to add some of those oranges in too, so we have some of those sunset colors in there. So it's like a pinkish orange kind of coming down into the water. And then some like orangey ness coming into there. A bit more of that pink over here. Go in with a little bit of this lighter color. I hear a lot of trouble in the background from the cats. They're causing something over there. No, I'm late. Well, you made it like part of the way through. We're still going. I actually was late today. My computer decided to crash on us, so I'm the one that's late over here. We're running behind a little bit. That's okay. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? I feel like I slept pretty good last night. I got to bed pretty quickly after the live stream last night because I knew I needed to get some sleep. Add some of this lighter pink into here. At this point, I'm just trying to match a little bit of the colors that I see in the sky, just so they kind of match up just a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be a little bit different in the water anyway. Still trying to give, like, I'm trying to keep where the circle is there because that's going to be the sun. Yeah, I'm asking you. Okay, we gotta add some like more pink in there. I'm trying to decide what colors I want to add in here. I think as we get closer to this area, I should add more of the purple. And like a purpley pink. Yep. There we go. Getting some of that purpley pink in the water. All things considered, well, that's good at least. Yeah. We all have things going on, right? Honestly, I'm liking how the water's doing over here. It's pretty good. Using like this very tiny brush now at this point because just want to make sure it's like blended in and I'm not like adding too much of the other colors. Kind of going into those darker colors now, and then we'll be able to add kind of those turquoise colors into here. Probably could start by adding some of those turquoise colors. Clean off my one brush, because this is, I think, the brush I'll use for those darker colors. Okay, there's the turquoise. I'm kind of adding it into these darker sections. I am making this like brighter and more saturated than it is in the actual photo, so at least for the turquoise section anyway. And I kind of like how the wave kind of goes to the side here, so there's kind of a darker wave back here. It like crashes up. I love crashing waves, they're so pretty. Are you going to feel negative on the waves? No. Kind of just going at it like this. I thought about it, but decided to just go in with the darker color, because why not, right? I want the waves to be like darker too than the paper. So I'm gonna add like a lot of like darkish light purples and stuff in there. I'm adding this turquoise color right now. I like how the waves kind of are crashing kind of on an angle, how this one is like closer to the bottom of the composition and then it kind of flows up a bit. So I'm kind of trying to keep that with the crashing waves a bit. I can always come back in with more of the darker color after too, but that'll be good for now. I don't actually paint a lot of waves. It's one thing I don't have like a ton of experience with is painting waves. So I'm just making up my techniques as we go along. It's one thing I want to do more of this year. Like I said, I want to do more like plein air painting, and we have an ocean here, so I probably should just watch the waves crash a bunch and then decide how I want to paint them. So there's almost kind of like that lightish purple in the waves, but I'm going to make it more kind of like this bluish color. Bluey purple color. I actually want to make that more purple. More of a desaturated bluish purple. Let's see, it's still a little bright actually. I want to go in with a little bit of this one that I made. Yeah, that's more of like kind of what I want to do. We'll go with some highlights after, but we're just kind of like just putting the waves in for now. Kind of trying to keep on that purpley vibe we got going. Add some more of that blue in there. Grab my other brush. Blend these out a little bit. I'm gonna add those deeper bits in there again. I do have some darker blues to add like later on too, so we can darken some of those sections in the wave, but I want to get a lot of the whites, and by whites I mean like this darker purple. Okay. It's kind of almost like this, and then we'll lighten it up from this purplish color that we're doing. Yeah. I'm gonna grab a little bit of, I think the warm white will be okay. I want that a little bit more purple. It's more on the blue end, but that's okay. I'm gonna move this area. Okay. Yeah, it's like not looking as bright in like on camera, but it is a lot brighter in person. It's funny because it's like brighter in person versus like the camera, but I'm also not trying to match it exactly to the reference photo. At the start, I did say I wanted to make it a little bit darker. I'll share a photo of it after as well with the colors, because I feel like photos are more accurate than these cameras that I'm using. Every time I do it, it's like a little bit off because I'm like looking at like the screen and then like my actual photo, and the pinks are definitely a lot brighter on mine, more saturated. Okay, I'm gonna add this in, just this lighter color, and then we're gonna go in with also some lighter pinks and purples at the end, and I'm gonna actually add some pinks into the waves because I feel like there's a nice reflection off of the waves here. Yeah, that happens. It does. I haven't been able to get the colors. Everyone's screen is like a different color too, so it's really hard. I used to actually work at a print shop, and they taught me about like color profiles and stuff, and like my monitor here is a color graded monitor, but a lot of people don't color grade their monitors, so it's gonna look like different on everyone's. Phones are pretty good nowadays, but every phone kind of has like its initial setting. I think like Samsung tends to go more on like the blue end for their photos, and I think it is Apple that does more of the kind of softer, warmer kind of colors. So it just kind of depends on like which phone or computer you're using, what the colors will look like. But if you buy the pigments and you mix them kind of like mine and then just match it up to the reference photo, they should look pretty close. I'm not matching the reference photo exactly though, because it's fun to just have a little bit of variation and not match it exactly. At least that's what I like to do. Okay, it's got kind of that like base layer down. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some like pinks and stuff into here. Let me just grab this darker color. I'm gonna bring the darker color in here, and honestly I'm just doing more like purple down in this section where the sand is supposed to be. The sand is gonna be more of like a purpley tone. Cat is playing around down here. I ran out of snacks. I know, I ate beforehand, so then hopefully I don't get hungry. I should drink some water though while I'm painting, to make sure I'm drinking enough water. can always go back in those dark areas afterwards. So now I'm gonna grab, I think I'll probably use maybe like this brush. It's got like some nice jaggedy ends on it. Let me go on my phone. One thing I forgot to do is make a little bit more space on my phone. Okay, so now we're going to go in and add, I was going to use the bigger brush. Maybe I'll use the bigger brush and then go back to the smaller brush after. We'll do like the really little highlights and stuff with this one, but I'll do a few dabs with this one too. So I'm going to go into the pink here. Pinky orange, I think that's what we'll probably use, yeah. Those will be kind of the waves. Gonna rub that brush off because I'm trying to use a bit of a dry brush technique with this. I have to ask, how's your day been? My day's been pretty good so far, other than the little hiccup there at the start of the stream, but we made it work. I mean, not that it really stopped me though, because we got the stream running anyway. But I am doing good. I woke up like really excited to paint this today, so I'm just happy to be here, being able to paint this today. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple in the waves, that purpley pink a little bit. I'll go back in with the smaller brush afterwards, but I just feel like the purple will look really nice in the waves. And go back in with my lighter brush now. I'm gonna go back in with this like darker purpley color, or not purple, turquoise color. I'm gonna really add those like little darker bits into the waves now with this. Love your channel. Do you have a review? Should use it. But lake in Quebec. Yeah, you can send it to me on like Instagram or something. And maybe we'll use it for the mini paint challenge at some point. And I can paint it on here. I will take a look at it, or at least give you some ideas, yeah, definitely send it to me on Instagram and I can probably try to help anyway. Or maybe this tutorial will kind of help you a little bit. It also depends, I guess, on like what style you're going for with it. Let's see. I'm gonna just add some pink into this section because I feel like we need some more pink along here. Just adding a bunch of different colors in at this point. Going back in, adding looser kind of brush strokes. So I'm trying not to press too hard while I'm moving my brush along. And that kind of helps you add like more detail to your painting if you're not pressing too hard, because we're not blending out these parts as much. And these lighter brush strokes will kind of slowly add that detail that we're looking for in the water. And we'll have to add some more detail into the waves there as well. But it's like slowly coming together as we add more of this. You're using oil and then acrylic if you could. Yeah, I don't normally use acrylic. I just do oil painting on this channel. I used to do acrylic painting, but I actually don't have a lot of acrylic supplies anymore. I gave most of them away because as soon as I tried oil painting, I was like, I love this. This is like my favorite medium that I've used, and I just like never touched my acrylic paints again after I tried oil painting. It's just so nice to like blend them. I feel like the blending with oil paints is just so much nicer. So I can understand why maybe you're having trouble in certain things with like acrylic paints. Acrylic paints, you definitely have to like layer up more to get like a nice effect too. So like waiting for layers to dry and then like layering them slowly. But yeah, oils definitely react a lot different, so you could try doing similar techniques, but the blending is going to be a bit different. I know like with acrylics there is like different mediums you can get for acrylics to like make them last a little bit longer and they don't dry as quickly, and then they're like a little bit easier to blend. But I never played with those when I did acrylics. Just putting this on very lightly. Gotta step back and just see how it's looking. I like how we went with the like turquoise on the waves in the front. I think those would be really cool once we get some more detail and stuff in those. And then we'll also go in and like add some like darker parts to the water and stuff too. Really want Like little detail. I'm gonna use this. Add the little sun. So we're using this blue to add the sun. This will make it pop quite a bit, adding the blue to it. Because the paper really isn't the right color for it. This blue makes it so bright. There we go. I'm going to blend out the water one a little bit because we don't want that to be, I want it to look like it's in the water a bit. I don't want the lines to be as harsh for that. There we go. I was excited to add that. Okay, and we're going to add some of those darker colors. Grab this deep color here, this deep purple color. We're just slowly adding kind of some of those darker lines in the water. A little bit more of that. And okay, just stepping back and seeing where I need to add things. Like my some of those darker lines back into the horizon area. Stepping back, I've got kind of like my camera in the way, so I'm trying to like see it through like the camera area. Okay, there we go. I hope the horizon line is like straight enough. Trying to make sure that kind of almost looks like we added mountains in here, but I'm not mad about that. I like that. It reminds me more of like Vancouver Island, where I live. Now I'm almost making them look like mountains because I just like that. We're turning clouds into mountains. I'm gonna go back and grab a bit more of that pink color, that brighter pink color, because I really want to bring that pink more into the water area here. Might even go in with a little bit of like that turquoise color too that we mixed up, just to add a bit more of those turquoise hints into the darker parts of the water. Yeah, I'm gonna clean this one off. Set that brush down. Clean this off and put a little bit of that turquoise color on it. What else are you going to add? We should really consider 4K cam since zooming in can get close up. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I really want like a 4K cam, I think, for this, because right now I'm just using one that's 1080p, like 60 frames per second, but a 4K one would zoom in a little bit nicer. So, like I said, we could get that 4K cam. My husband showed me like one of the new Logitech cams that's like 4K, and so we're considering on buying potentially that. I'm only just adding a little bit of this color into the waves, not a lot, just a little bit, just to add some of this blue into the waves as well, just because I think it'll add a little bit more depth into those waves. Yeah, I think that kind of helped a bit. I want to add more kind of like darker waves into this section too. I feel like I'm gonna add that darker purple. Trying to go at the same angle of the waves to like make them blend a little bit nicer too. I think that's kind of coming together. I really wanted this wave to be more on an angle to the side. Kind of almost like draping down on the side there. think that center part needs to be a bit more yellow. Kind of had made this yellow over here. I'm just gonna grab a bit of that cadmium yellow. Just to like brighten that section up a little bit. I think that'll help. I want to brighten up the section like over here as well in the sky. Just adding a bit of that cadmium yellow to the colors that are already there, I think will help. You could also wait until it dries to like add a little bit of like a glaze on top with some of these other colors if you want them more saturated. To add a bit more of that sun back in. There we go. The amount of detail you can capture with oil paint is honestly amazing. Yeah, I really love how oil paints you can just like keep like blotting and like adding little details, and it like slowly comes together. And like the waves, I want to add more details into the waves. Kind of like the sunset that we've got going on too. I think it honestly looks pretty good. Just gotta fix it in the water. I like don't want to touch the sky because I really like the sky. I'm like pretty happy with like this middle section too here, like kind of all in here. I think I like how it is, and then I want to focus on the waves a little bit just to like add a bit more detail. But I am glad we were like able to capture a lot of the detail we wanted to within everything. I think the waves are kind of like the hardest part because we're having to add all of the highlights and stuff now. I'm gonna add kind of like this lighter purple, a little bit of this titanium white. And I'm using my really old round brush that is like messed up at this point to try to add some of those details because I think it'll be pretty good with adding the details. And we're just adding that lighter color like around the edges where the sun is hitting. Grab some of this purple too. Some of this purple will be nice in the waves. Gonna blend that in. Trying not to add super light colors yet because we want to kind of save the lighter colors for the end. We're building up the colors for the waves right now. Slowly building up that color palette. At the end we'll add those brighter colors. It's getting a bit more of that color in there that we want. Also trying to figure out what way we want the waves to kind of splash. So we're adding those different splashes and stuff in now. Want that one to kind of curve up. A little bit of splash details there. I want this one to kind of come up here as well. And I want some of that really dark purpley color up into the waves here. I want that to fade into that turquoise. So I'm just bringing this deep color into the waves, and then we're going to add turquoise into it. This darker turquoise we made, I'm just bringing that in now around that purple section. And now we're going to go back in with this lighter purple. And this is where the waves are like crashing onto the beach. So we're just marking out where we want the waves to look like they're crashing. If I stand back, the waves are coming along too. They're nice and like bright. They had like that blue glow that I really wanted. I wanted them a little bit more blue than the reference image. You can kind of see that in there. Just wanted to go for more of that like dark purpley blue vibe in the waves. Now we can start adding a little bit more color to those waves. I'm gonna add this pinkish kind of color to it. I think that's kind of what we want, yeah. I'm highlighting along the edges, just like the foamy bits of the wave right on the tips. You're probably gonna have to dip your brush in and like clean it off quite a bit for this section because you really want those white, I guess it's not quite white, but those bright highlights to be in there. So we're using a mix of the quinacridone magenta and a little bit of the warm white for these, because I want it to kind of have the same kind of pinkish that the water has over there. We're just highlighting these specific waves that are crashing in the front here. I'll grab my cloth again. Grab a little bit of titanium white, and I'm gonna add titanium white with the magenta. So use the warm white. Now this is going to be a little bit brighter if we use just titanium white. Be careful just to put these along the edges. We're kind of almost adding like glistening in the water by adding this kind of on just like the top of the waves. And we're going to add a little bit of this color as well into the actual image too. Into the water, sorry. This part's kind of glistening as well. To here. So kind of like the water splashes. Just dabbing my brush off in between. I'm just gonna keep adding more of these waves. Really trying to add more detail in the waves specifically because I feel like it's kind of like the front of the image that's like getting the most attention here. This is kind of a nice point. I'm gonna actually make this one area a little bit, I'll put these down, this one area a little bit darker. Let me grab a brush, another thing to clean off my towel a bit. I'm gonna go in with that darker color that we made. It's like, it's got a bit of cat hair on it. Go. I feel like we almost need to add like a little, I wasn't gonna add much of like the sand color. I was just gonna keep it purple, but I almost kind of like want to add some of the sandy color. I feel like if we add a little bit of, I'm debating on maybe using a bit of like burnt sienna maybe. I think it might be too dark though, honestly. see. Yeah, it's like a little too dark, honestly. Probably could add in a little bit of these like pinks kind of in this section. Like I just feel like it's needs a bit of like a fade, you know? That dark color and then kind of fades to that lighter color a bit. There we go. I'm glad I added that little extra detail there. I'm loving that so far. These are so cute. Add some of those dark bits into here too. Gotta add some of the darker bits back into the wave. With waves, you're kind of almost like pushing the colors back and forth until you get something that you like. So I'm adding the darks, then I'm adding the lights. I'm just like slowly working my way in there with some of these colors. Yeah, I feel like we could even make this a little bit lighter just to kind of like have a bit more contrast here. I'm going to add some of this purple into here so it's a little bit darker. I feel like the turquoise isn't dark enough in these areas. That's adding a little bit more dimension, just getting those lights and darks in there a little bit more accurate. When you're painting, you really want to be looking kind of like, almost like it's like a grayscale. Some people actually use like little tools that have like a grayscale on them. Shows them the darks and lights in their painting, and it just helps to give that contrast that you're looking for. Because if you're, so that would be your values in more technical terms, is the darks and lights. And if your values aren't accurate, your photo's gonna like look a little bit off. So that's why you're pushing like the darks and the lights kind of near the end, just to really get that depth that you want. Because if we made these too bright, then like the sun and like all of these like little shadows and stuff we're adding would just look very off compared to everything else. Okay. Slowly working there. There we go. How's it looking for you guys? Oh yeah, it's looking like dark and mysterious. That's what we're going for. like I said, I think I'm gonna add more of that. I'm gonna add this a little bit darker, and then I'm gonna go back in and add this to make it look a little bit more pinky. And we'll go back in and add some of those highlights again too. Oops. Dropping that. It's okay. Got so many paintbrushes out right now, that's why I'm dropping stuff. Just need a new towel to clean it on. I will use this towel to clean it instead. Let's get into, try to pull up my sleeve so I don't go into this pinkish color. So add that in a little bit. Yeah, I just feel like I needed that for like the sandy bit a little bit. There we go. That adds a little bit of depth there. And also just cleaning my brush off. I'm going to add a little bit of pink to this brush again. I'm going to work in the water a bit. Just feel like I need a bit more of that pink right here in the water. Trying to add a little bit of this pink into here. Oops, definitely did not mean to do that. I'm gonna have to grab one of my small ones again. It's okay. It's okay, we'll fix it. Trying to fix it anyway. Brought the color up there too much into the sun. There we go. I'm gonna add some of that pink into the waves here. Probably gonna use this brush now. These like damaged brushes are working out. Yeah, definitely adding the pink, I think, into the waves will be nice. I think it just needed more of that glowy pink into the waves. Hello.
Are you done?
I am not done yet.
Or you're done with the live stream, obviously.
No, I'm still live streaming. That's our kiddo in the back there. They can't see you there. You can get a snack. That's fine. He's on spring break right now. You're on spring break. Okay. There we go. Just a little bit more pink there. Oh, this is like getting color all over my fingers. Some like, well, I'll have to wash my hands after this. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this bluish color, mix it in with this purpley pink color we made. Yeah, I have an 8-year-old kiddo. Me and my husband. Yeah, he's 8 years old already. It's kind of crazy. So he is on spring break right now. I think he's excited for being home on spring break. We went to the pool yesterday together. I've been trying to sign him up for like swim lessons for the last couple years now. Most of the swim lessons keep like booking up, but I want him to like learn how to like swim from like an instructor, like, you know, we take him out on the lake and stuff, but him to learn how to like properly swim just adding a little bit of highlights here and there into the actual water now. I don't want to add too many highlights, honestly. I'm going to keep the colors like pretty bright, but I think honestly like it's looking pretty good. Okay. I think when you stand back, it like looks pretty good. I feel like I could add like a bit more like highlights or like details to the waves. I don't want to go too crazy with the highlights though. How does it look from there? What do you guys think of it so far? I know the colors are like a little bit more dull there, but I think it looks pretty good. I feel like it needs like a little bit more texture down in this section here. Maybe it's time. Looking good, thank you. I need to like look at it maybe from a different angle because I'm like seeing highlight. That's the thing with like oil paint, especially when you have like the lights and stuff. Sometimes it just like looks odd. There we go. Just wait till lunch, bud. You're gonna eat soon. Normally I do these streams while he's at school. Okay. I feel like the crashing waves are pretty good now. Got a nice crashy wave thing going on. We actually managed to like get pretty much this like all done. Like quicker than I thought we could because we started a little bit late, but we actually managed to get a decent amount of it done. And I could spend more hours doing this, but I can also just call it quits because I think it looks pretty good already. Okay, let me look from further. I got like paint on my hands. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good far away. It's when you go up close you can see like all the like little details. That's the thing with like paintings is like you go further away and you're like it's cohesive, it comes together, you know? I think those are like my favorite types of paintings is like when you're up close you're like, oh, that's like a little off, and then you go back and you're like, oh wow, it like looks good together. Yeah, I think I like how that turned out there. Without adding too much detail, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll call that quits. We took 3,500 photos for the time lapse for that one. Okay, I will put it onto the thank you scene now because thank you guys for watching today. I am glad that some of you guys were able to join on the live, and if you haven't been able to watch the whole thing, I am going to be keeping this up for a replay up on my channel, so then you can watch it there. And make sure if you do follow along, you tag me at Meg and Josol Art and use the hashtag mini paint challenge, and then you can join the challenge with us and use any medium you'd like. I know we used oil paints today, but it was really nice to do this with you guys. So I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you later.